Yeah, kind of. evening, everybody, and welcome to the 2026 season of Drinks and Dates. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that kind of good stuff.
Woo! Yeah, I can see by the turnout we got to get back in the rhythm again here. We didn't feed the beasts for too long.
Well, I forgot to pay off the fire marshal too. So the bar.
Yeah.
As you know, the bar is as small as a closet. So what do you expect?
Well, let's remind. Oh no, not remind. I guess we went undecided into our hiatus. No, is it
yeah hiatus
about the beer episode. The plan is the beer episode will be next week. The beer tasting with a guest and hopefully some education in there. So if you're watching this on replay, the January 20th, don't miss it.
Yes, and we will try our very best sometime within the week to have a list of what beers we're going to be trying, so you can go to the store, get the beers, and drink and taste along with us.
Right.
Hello, Tig Lily, all the way from the den,
the other room. Yeah, chime in if you're one of the other three people watching us. Type in the chat. Please, let us know. Yeah,
please say hello. We'd appreciate it. We feel needy.
So it's been a while, Dave. You've been off work for a while. I mean, I know you're back last week.
I went back to work. I went back to work last week.
Yeah, the hair's been growing long in Tucson.
Yes, it has. It was a very busy week. And, it's funny, you realize, because obviously with what I do, I stand on my feet 12, 13 hours a day. And you realize that you have to get back into a rhythm.
Oof.
P-Beat, to the booze.
Is this what you're drinking, P-Beat, or you're just throwing that out there based on the title? I'm curious.
We'll have to see about that. But anyhow, yeah. So, the first week back is always a bear. It's always tough. And
you have one of the squishy mats.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you can't have a squishy mat to go all the way around. Because I walk around the person 360 degrees and stuff like that. So, yeah. So the chair's on a mat, and I do have a mat, but it's not bad. I have Hoka nurses shoes.
Okay.
So,
I was going to ask if it was Skechers, the old man.
The Hoka nurse, the Hoka nurses.
That is the trend. That's funny because the trends in what nurses wear kind of changes, every 5 years or so. But I know that's the in one right now.
Well, remember the ones that they wore that looked really funky? They had the springs on them on the heels.
Oh, we didn't have many people that wore those.
No, but the Hokas are nice. These are the professional version.
Industrial strength.
Yeah, don't slip, because people don't realize hair is slippery, especially when it's on the floor. It's slippery. Yeah, it's very slippery.
Never thought of that. Yeah.
So
hey,
what do you drink?
What am I drinking?
Yeah, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking a Compass Box Nectarosity. Now, if people haven't tried Compass Box, now they do blends. They don't make their own stuff. They buy from other folks and either age it or blend it together and stuff like that. And almost everything they have is good. It's the only blend stuff that I will buy.
But what is it? Is it a Scotch?
Oh, yeah, it's a Scotch.
Well, why aren't we drinking wine?
Well,
wine is the thing. Look, I mean, I'm drinking a nice 2021 Cabernet Sauvignon from Duckhorn. If you're listening, Duckhorn. If you're listening, Duckhorn.
If you want
product placement, this was given to me by you. As a matter of fact, it's fantastic.
Good.
And considering I don't drink very much, by the time I'm done with this bottle, who knows where this show is going to go?
It's funny because I don't drink wine that much anymore, and every time I do, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is delicious. Why am I not having wine more often? Yeah.
Well, P-Beat, I did not know much about Duckhorn, but now I know it's part of the Paradox family, and it is delicious. It's a 2021 Cabernet that we've had since, I can't remember when you gave this to us, quite a while. I'll go. We have just. In fact, I had to dust off the bottle. I mean, I felt really, really very like I had to go down into the wine cellar and take the stuff off of it. And but you remember you were saying before the show that you haven't smoked cigars with wine.
I had once, and I was like,
telling you right now, the Melania V.
It's working for you.
That wine is working.
Yeah.
Well, and I must say the hillbilly rancher side of me has got my RC0 in a separate cup.
Palate cleanser.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, because you also drink, you like black coffee with cigars, and I don't like that pairing. I'll do iced coffee for some reason. That's fine, but hot coffee just, I don't know.
It's good. It's delicious. So that's what I'm doing. What are you smoking tonight? I'm doing I said Oliva V Melanio.
Oliva V. I'm finishing up a Metropolitan Host. Now this was my pre-show cigar, so I had another one on deck, but I'm feeling a little lightheaded. And when that starts happening, you don't go to that second cigar because that could lead to some nasty stomach stuff and and it's weird because that just hits you right. You can smoke 2-3 cigars in one evening, be fine, and then like this is first cigar tonight. It's like no rhyme or reason.
Have you eaten anything?
I had lunch and all that stuff. And
do you have any sugary drink?
No. Yeah, see, I know if I had, and that's weird, right? So what they call it, nicotine poisoning. I think poisoning is a strong word, but where you could get violently ill because of it, and you feel like, oh, I'm dying and I just want to lay down and stuff, but you just pop some chocolate and boom, you're fine. Weird. Yeah.
But we've got PB, we've got Tig Lily, but we have 4 more people that have not identified who they are.
That's right. Maybe they're just hanging out in the background, just seeing what this is all about. That's all right. That's okay.
That's true too.
Yeah. So this was, I kind of thought this episode was long enough after the holidays. It's kind of past the time where we would discuss all that stuff. So, but I titled it as to what seems like we've been into. And so you're more than neck deep into your off-roading hobby and started into the drones to get cool shots.
Exactly.
So how's that going?
It's going good. I finally met up with Joe, and hello, Stephen. I finally met up with Joe, and we did a trail called Elvis, followed by Box Canyon, which was fun. I'm just getting back into the sport again, so it was a little uncomfortable at first, but I'm getting, the rock crawling thing back. And then the following week, I broke my Jeep on a very mellow trail.
I want you to thank me because you showed a video of where your Jeep broke down. I think my car could have taken that trail.
The part, well, we were only like 10 minutes into it,
right?
But your car couldn't have taken the trail because it was very thick sand. But thankfully it happened where it did, because it would have been if we would have been on the trail last week or a couple weeks ago at Elvis, that would have been fun to get out of. But when you go with those guys, they basically are an O'Reilly Auto Parts store on wheels.
Yeah,
they have pretty much anything that can break.
And thank goodness you weren't alone when that happened either.
No. And see, that's kind of a bad habit that I have. I will go out 4-wheeling alone. Yeah, that would have sucked. Yeah. I mean, it was only a lower control arm joint, so I could have limped it home, but I was able to do it with baling wire, and then I got it fixed the next week. And then for Christmas, the boss gave me, hello, Rich. The boss gave me a drone, and then it was a little unsteady, and so I went out and bought another one.
So I assume you're getting the kind that will follow the signal from your phone to take pictures while you're driving and that.
Well, yeah, the one that Tig Lily got me did all that. The difference was that the gimbal on the camera was electronic, and it was only down and up, so it shook, and it wasn't quite as smooth. I'm going to upload a video because I went ahead and bought a DJI, even though they are supposedly illegal now in the United States. Yeah, in fact, all drones that are manufactured outside the United States are now illegal. I mean,
really?
you can still, you can use them, but you can't buy them anymore.
Do you know the reasoning behind that?
Yes, DJI because DJI was the first ones that were named by the State Department as being banned, and that's because obviously they're an Asian-made product, but they're the best. I mean, they've been around for the longest, and the only American-made drones are made for law enforcement, agriculture. The videos you've seen where the drone's got a flamethrower on it, those are made by a U.S. company, but they're not for consumer use. So DJI was the company that really took the reins and created the Mavic, created the Mini, and all the different ones that they have now. But apparently they were selling those drones to less than desirable people, and those less than desirable people were using them to spy on even more less desirable people. So the State Department called them that said, you got to stop doing that. You got to stop selling it to these known terrorist companies. And they lied. They lied, though. They said, no, we don't do that. And then the State Department said, what's this? Backpedal, 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 backpedal. And then finally they fought and argued. And finally the State Department said, okay, guess what? Anything made outside the United States that's drone related is now illegal to bring in the United States.
All right. Boom. Well, obviously I don't know anything about any of this, but that seems crazy because these people could just buy the American made drones if they really wanted.
Well, they can't buy the consumer drones, and the American drones only sold to certified law enforcement, agriculture, forestry, stuff like that. So it does two things. One, is it going to jumpstart the American drone companies to make a consumer product? Maybe. The problem is that the Chinese and the Japanese have perfected this stuff. So that means they're going to have to retool all the parts, which means a consumer drone that, let's say a good one that costs you $2,000 is going to be $50,000. Nobody's going to buy it. So I'm sure there's going to be some, I know the current administration will probably say, well, tell you what, we'll make you a deal. Open up a $5 trillion plant in Tecumseh, Iowa, and we'll let you bring it in. And that's what's going to end up happening because there's so many of the drones that are here. And I bought one after the ban, but Amazon's got tons of them. So I don't know. It's going to be when it breaks and you have to get parts. That's when it's going to be an issue. So.
Yeah, PB's got a request.
Can you make a drone? Wait, put that back up again. Can you make a drone video that looks like you're Dennis Weaver in Duel 1971? I'm gonna have to rewatch that movie. I don't remember that. Unless is that the one with is Duel the one with where Dennis Weaver is being chased by that semi
that
is
the semi truck? I think so.
Semi truck.
So how long can yours stay up in the air then on a charge?
Well, the old one could stay up for about 37 minutes, and had a range of about a quarter to a half a mile.
Wow,
this new one can go out 7 to 12 miles.
Whoa!
And can stay up for about 40 minutes. In fact, there's a guy that tested one up north, and he went out 7 miles and was able to hit the return to home, and it came right back. And then there was another one that he tried that he went out, I think 8 miles, and it didn't make it back, and the drone got lost, but he, believe it or not, found it 2 years later, and it still worked. So,
ironically, I just watched a video a couple days ago about, I don't know what state it was in, but some guy that owned property that he hunted on, and he took a drone up just to kind of monitor his property and saw a poacher on his land with no orange vest and called, wildlife, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed up within like 11 minutes. And so they could pinpoint exactly where this guy was and marched right in, saw him shooting at deer, didn't hit anything, but then arrested the dude for, It was awesome.
Yeah. We had a situation out here where there was a car that got stolen and there was a chase. And so the sheriff's helicopter was up because he ditched the car out in the desert. And I just happened to be out there watching the helicopter, and I looked over and I saw these 2 red blinking lights, but they were stationary. And then there was another one over here, and all of a sudden they took off like a bat out of hell. And so the sheriff's department has drones with night vision on them, and they use them too. It's fun. I mean, it really is. It's a blast. I'm probably going to get my what they call the Part 107 commercial drone license, because if I decide to put something up on YouTube and I get monetized on it, that's considered commercial.
Interesting.
So it's for money.
So what is that? You take a test, you pay money, and then you get a
license. It's just like a pilot's license. It's just a different part, different because you become a drone pilot. But you got to know, the restricted areas, and that's one thing I got to say for this new DJI drone is it's got all that in it. It's already built in. You put it says okay to fly, not okay to fly. Depending on where you're going. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. It's a lot of fun. So now we're going to have two. So Sharon and I will have drone wars. We're gonna be doing drone ballet at 700 feet.
That's adorable. You'll have the in sky drone show with two drones.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be impressive.
Yeah. So that's what I've. If Jimmy Stewart had a drone. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
That is a thing though. I mean, might as well get into it because that's half of our topic. But drones being able to go up and look into windows that you can't see from street level, and that whole argument of is that public view or is it not, right? Like,
well, according to
neighbors get ticked off, right? You go over and you can see the swimming pools and all that stuff that you can't see from the street.
The easiest way to say it is no one owns the air,
right?
Except the Federal Aviation Administration. They, like you can't fly a drone over an airport, or if there's fire operations going on, you can't take your drone up and go look at the fire because they'll literally stop everything. So there's what they call NOTAMs. It's called Notice to Airmen. And they'll put out, like, if there's a fire, they'll say, okay, no drone flights, no this. But over a neighborhood, and here's the thing, because we have this happen just north of us in Saddlebrook. If you live in Saddlebrook, the CCNR says that you cannot take off a drone or fly over anybody's house. But if you don't live there, there's not a damn thing they can do about it. However, I believe personally that you don't want to fly and look in somebody's window, because what's going to happen is two things. One, your drone's going to get shot out of the sky. And what's the point? So I fly in open spaces.
No, I agree that just ethically, it's a terrible thing to do, but
it's legal.
Also from freedom, right, and open airspace and all this stuff. But it's interesting, we oftentimes talk about technology and where it's going and AI and all this, people monitoring what you're doing and all this stuff. Well, here's another new thing, that just because you're on the second floor of your house doesn't mean that people can't look in.
That's right. Well, and then what's making it worse is a lot of these drones, I don't know if mine does, but a lot of these drones you can fly POV. So in other words, you get a set of goggles and you can fly as if you're in the drone. Now, I wouldn't recommend standing up while you're doing that because you're going to fall over. But yeah, a lot of them do that. In fact, there's these drone races that they do that. They've got
those guys are amazing.
It's amazing how fast they are. Yeah. So yeah, to me, it's more about, like when you get on the trail and you see a canyon that you can't get to, or the mountain scenes that go around, it's kind of neat to take footage of that. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So the other big thing about drones is that the micro drones or the mini drones, like what I have, is if they're legally, if they're under 249 grams, they don't have to be registered. So you just go out and fly them. But the way they get away with that is that's dry weight. If you put the battery in, sometimes the battery's a lithium ion battery. Sometimes it gets over 400. So I went ahead and paid I think it was $25 and registered the drones for two reasons. One, having it registered, it's easier to get back if something should happen to it, if they find it. Two, from a liability standpoint, knowing that it's registered, because you have to take a test. It's called, I can't remember what it's called. It's called, what is it? It's called the trust test, where different things and stuff like that. So, and it's done through Embry-Riddle Nautical University. So, did I have to do that? No, but I'd rather do it and be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
So these guys that you go out with, other than it trailing them and shooting video of their driving and stuff, do they take it up if they're on a trail that they've never been on and kind of look ahead and see if it's
I don't
worth going?
Well,
or?
the only person I know that has a drone that's been using it for the trails is Joe. I don't know. I never thought about what you said about, seeing, because obviously on the trail you have navigation with onX or whatever that maps the trail. But I never thought about if Joe, I haven't done it yet, but if Joe has actually done the full trail to see where the obstacles are and stuff like that and come back. I know he's done video on his channel that shows him going over and around the vehicles, but I don't know if he's done that. That's a good idea. It's actually not a bad idea. But a lot of the guys that do off-road videos, they do the follow me mode. Right. So where they're in the Jeep. But the problem is with the follow me mode is it's very slow. I mean, you're doing like 10, 15 miles an hour because the drone doesn't speed up that well because it's trying to keep its eye on you. And a lot of guys lose drones that way too, because if it loses connection, the drone flies to its last, what they call home location. And if you don't reset that home location as you're moving,
it'll go to where you started.
Exactly.
Interesting.
But I like the return to home because like today I was messing around with it and I got it up to, you're legally allowed to fly up to 400 feet above ground level. You can't see the drone at 400 feet. You have no idea where it's at. So
cool. Yeah, so you have a screen then that you're looking at when you're flying it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's two types. You can either have your phone, which connects into the remote, or in this new one, it's got a built-in screen. So I can do all the programming and everything right in the screen. So I can watch where I'm going.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Cool.
So it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, those are fun. Yeah.
That's your next. If you like your robot so much, see, San Francisco would be a perfect place to have a drone.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are around there.
Well, is Golden Gate a national park, or is it considered a national park?
Yes.
You'd have to have permission in those places. That's
why you fly over or to launch from.
To launch, well, actually both. Maybe it depends on. I don't know what the rule, but like in Yellowstone, you can't launch from and into Yellowstone because of the animals, unless you have a permit. Yeah, and you can get permission. You just gotta apply for it.
Yeah,
but you can get permission.
Cool.
So that's pretty much all I've been doing. Not much. We did. I don't know if we talked about this. I know it's Christmassy, but we put the permanent lights up on the house.
I saw you said that you took down everything but the permanent lights. So you,
yeah. So we use those as our evening lights, and then when it gets closer to Valentine's, we'll turn them to pink and red, and we'll do all that sweet stuff. Yeah, but that means I don't have to get up on a ladder anymore.
Yeah. Well, I got vetoed on doing that. My wife said that she likes the look of the ones that we have now. But in looking for those, I found better, I don't know what you call them, the little doohickeys that you mount each light on that'll slide underneath the shingles. That'll make it a world easier than what I'm doing now. So if nothing else,
that's what we did. Well, that's what I did before that is she bought me a stick that this thing plugs into and you slide that under the shingle. And then you just stand from the ground. You can hang the lights that way.
Whatever.
Yeah.
No, I'm up on the ladder under the eaves, reaching back around, hoping that I don't lean back too far. Yeah.
But I think once she saw those lights on the house, she'd like them because you've got like 14.6 billion colors. You have pre-programmed Christmas stuff, Halloween stuff.
Yeah. I might make the pitch again, but that was the last decision.
I mean, I still put regular lights along the fence, but
yeah. Well, so for the second part of our topic is I told you I started planning for Valentine's Day and decided we haven't been up to Napa in years, which was unusual, because we were way deep into collecting Napa.
I was going to say, I thought you guys went up there every year.
We used to go up every quarter back when we were members of everything until COVID hit and canceled almost all of our memberships and all this stuff. So I start looking at wineries again to, we want to go to one at least we haven't been to before and stuff. and it got me looking and thinking about wine again. And dude, I'm all about thinking about the craft and the time and people's energy that goes into the stuff that we enjoy, right? Like cigars. Like, every time I have a cigar, there's at least, if not a fleeting thought more than that, about where this was grown and all the people that aged this tobacco and rolled it and all. I mean, like, a ton of work goes into these things, right? So I'm starting to remember all the stuff about wine, and that's like cigars times 10, right? Because it starts with like getting the land. And I know years and years ago on my shaving channel, I did a video about like, why does wine cost what it does? Because people think Napa wine, it's all PR and the ridiculous prices and all this stuff. But some, yes, but that's not necessarily true, because it is a world-class place to grow grapes, and so folks don't know this. So if you wanted to go start a winery now, an acre of land in Napa that's good for growing grapes is at least $1 million.
Oh yeah,
if not more. Plus it's what, like 80 grand or something to plant it with grapes.
Then you have to build the
right, millions into your winery and all that stuff. But it's not just that. It's just like cigars, where you've got somebody tending those plants year round, and the high end stuff, when it starts growing, you got somebody picking off individual leaves if it's shading the grapes too much, and hand picking the grapes and hand sorting the grapes and all this stuff. And I'm just like, so you open that bottle of wine you had there, that's 2021, right? So back 4 years ago, somebody was in the vineyards hand picking the grapes that went into that, right? They get crushed, they ferment, they go into a barrel that somebody picked the wood from a specific forest in France, right? And they make, and just the making of the, I mean, I get nerd out for an hour on
well, and then it gets bottled and it gets put in a cellar and it's aged,
Yeah. So just thinking about all of that when you hold a bottle, and especially, being able to see what year the grapes were picked and thinking, so that one's 4 years old, but oftentimes we're drinking stuff that's like 10 years old and stuff like that. So you realize,
I was going to ask you, because you actually went through sommelier training, correct?
Yeah.
So when I see this, and it says 2021, is that when it was bottled, or is that when the process began?
That's when they picked the grapes.
Okay.
Yeah. 2021, or in September, October, they picked the grapes for that bottle.
Okay.
Yeah. And the nicer wines like that stayed in a new oak barrel from French oak for at least a year before they bottle it. So yeah, I've been geeking out on that.
Well, at what point does wine, and I'm sure there's a lot of factors that go into this, but is there a sweet spot of when you should drink a Cabernet? Is there a sweet spot? Well, go ahead. That's why this show's about.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the wine, and again, getting into, price and stuff. Like most of the wine that people buy, no, you can't age it. You want to drink it within a year of buying it, because they're buying bottles that are less than $20. I think like, what is it? Like 80% or 90% of wine is under $15 a bottle. So that's not for aging. But the stuff like you have, my sweet spot is maybe like 7 years.
Okay.
That's when I think it's really good. But that would last probably a good 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because is it true what they say that at a certain point in time, wine will turn very vinegary? Is that true?
No, it's more leathery. It starts turning brown, and the flavors start going down. So that's why it's weird that some people want to buy like these 30-year-old wines and stuff like that. I've tried some of that stuff. I had the opportunity to buy some pretty old vintages from Napa, and no, I didn't even drink the bottle. I tried it and I'm like, this is not good. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know, because I didn't know that. And I actually honestly thought that the year on the bottle was the year it was bottled and put away. So,
yeah.
But that still means that this has been aged at least a year. plus whatever I've had it for, 4 years.
Yeah. Do you drink sake at all?
Yes.
I love that too. And I bought a book on that, and less of a process than wine, but same kind of, if you're getting nicer in sake stuff, the amount of labor that goes into that. And again, I could go into that. So anyway, I've been enjoying that. So we're going to go to a winery that, so I started watching videos on it, and the guy that bought the vineyard bought it in 1972. He was a physician who just wanted to change his lifestyle and slow down a little bit. So he bought this vineyard, and then, like you said, having to build the winery and all this stuff cost so much money. So he had to go back to work to afford to pay for all this.
Well, and I would imagine, somebody that's, I think there's probably a romance to where when you go out to a vineyard, like we went out to, because what's weird, and I think this, there's a swath in the world that goes around the world, and it was, layer upon layer upon layer, and Sonoyta is along that same geographic line as Napa. It's just, and it seems like all the dirt in that area, all the way around the world is like that. And so we went out to the Sonoyta winery, and you get caught up in, you walk into the winery, and of course it's all done in rock and everything else, and it's beautiful. And you go down into the cellars, and then you go up into the wine tasting area, and they've got food, and you look at the owners and you're going, God, what a great life. And then you talk to them behind the scenes and say, oh, it's a hell of a lot of work. I mean, they're busting their tails. Now they're paying people to do stuff, but still, it's not cheap.
No. Especially to get it off the ground and get your name out there and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine it's extremely competitive, isn't it?
I would have to think so. I don't know. I just started, again, researching more of this stuff because the wine industry as a whole is on a downswing because the Gen Zers and all that stuff don't drink alcohol nearly as much as the previous generations.
Right.
But what I'm learning is that what we talked about, the stuff $20 and under, they're having a really tough time. They've started pulling out some of their vineyards and stuff like this to reduce supply because they just can't sell everything that they're doing. But the higher end wines are still going strong, that they're not.
Well, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but just thinking it from my standpoint. So when I looked at booze in general, okay, whether it be bourbon, gin, vodka, scotch, stuff like that. Years ago, you'd look at that and you would lump that into whiskey, vodka, gin. That's it. But every time you talked about wine, to me, that was the next tier up. Okay, that, in other words, if you were drinking good wines and stuff like that, you were kind of a connoisseur. But it seems like in the brown liquor industry, the bourbons, the scotches, now that is almost replaced the high-endness, so to speak, of wine.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The barrel select stuff and the age stuff. And
I think you see a lot more of the Gen Zers and forward, because I think the Gen Xers, like my generation, we still had a good appreciation for wine. But you go to the next, the Gen Y, Gen Z, that's when the bourbon thing took off. I mean, you could buy a bottle of bourbon for $6, and it was a good bottle of bourbon. Scotch has always been, to me, Scotch has always been on this kind of the same level as wine, but a much smaller demographic, because either you like Scotch or you hate Scotch. I mean, there's nothing in between, I don't think, at least to me.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting to think about, because as we'll find out next week, I don't like beer. Never have liked beer. And it's I keep saying it's the flavor of the hops. I just don't like that. And I don't like bourbon. And that's because of the way fermented corn tastes. Because that's the consistency, right? But I like wine, and I like Scotch, and I like all this other stuff. So it's almost like the base ingredient imparts a certain flavor that.
Well, you like rum now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think before if you went up to a group of 10 people and said, what do you guys think of wine? 90% of them would say, oh yeah, we've had a glass of wine. And that's encompassing whites, reds, zins, Leaf Brow Milch, you name it, all of the different wines.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go to somebody and you say, hey, do you like Scotch? You're going to get one of two reactions. You're going to say, oh yeah, I enjoy a good Scotch. Or they're going to look at you like you're growing a third eye, because people just, and I think the reason why people don't like Scotch is their original Scotch that somebody had them try was a peated Scotch. And, and to me, that's how I got introduced to Scotch by Laphroaig. Now that's not exactly the best Scotch to get introduced to, because it's like, oh yeah, so that's what it's like to lick an ashtray. But I fell in love with it. I love Laphroaig and I love peaty Scotches. But
what's interesting, I mean, I guess all of this stuff, there's no reason to try to like it, right? If you like, it's all not good for you, right? Smoking, drinking, whatever.
Sure.
It'd be better if you're running a mile and eating your kale and shit. But
but those guys dropped dead at 30. So
they still do.
I mean, look at the French. Seriously, look at some areas of French. They're drinking Bordeaux, which is about as thick as molasses. They're eating goat cheese and they're eating bread, and they live to be 160.
Yeah, right on. But so I was kind of reminded of this. So we've got on the Shaving Cadre, most of the people there are experienced shavers, but we've got a guy who's struggling learning traditional shaving now, and it takes you back. And I've said this before, I feel really bad for those people, because you have to learn what razor works for you, what blade works for you, there's so many variables that if you just tried it for a week,
you'd give up
and didn't really want to learn it. You'd be like, this sucks. This hurts. Right. I'm bleeding. I don't want to do it. And it's the same with any of this other stuff. If you just get Johnny Walker Red was your first taste, and you're like, this sucks. Or like a $9 bottle of wine. Some people like that. That's fine. But if you don't, there very well could be stuff out there you find delicious that if you don't actually put effort into just, I want to see what's out there, you never find it.
Well, bringing to me, reading that post or those threads from him, take you so far back. And what I do like is, and this is kind of a plug for the Shaving Cadre, is that nobody is hammering you, because you know what happens a lot of times, people that have been in the business as long as we have, they will they'll hammer him saying, you're wasting your time throwing away a blade after one shave. Well, you know what? It's your shave. You're going to have to find the sweet spot. And then once he does, a light bulb will go off. Like I almost today, he had posted about he was at CVS and he got a shavette.
I saw, oh boy.
I wanted to post, stay the hell, but you know what? He's got to learn, and hopefully it won't be a bad experience, but and with Rich's thing on Boone's Farm. Oh man, I cannot tell you how many Boone's Farm strawberry. Oh God. Oof. I smell that now and I want to vomit. Yeah. Well, we were coming back from a bowling tournament years and years ago, and we didn't have a lot of money. And so we wanted a drink, but the only thing we could afford was not Boone's Farm, Thunderbird wine. And it's like $3.86 a gallon.
And the bottle costs $3.30.
Right. And we wanted to spread it out, right? So we bought orange juice. So we mixed orange juice and this Thunderbird wine. I can tell you that it was the worst 36 hours of my life afterwards. Oh, it was horrible.
That could not have tasted good at all.
It actually, when you're young and you would just want to get a buzz, everything tastes good.
All right.
So yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. But what my wife and she's actually the one that really got me more turned on to wine. I mean, I'd had it before because my parents, they loved Blue Nun, the Leaf Brow Milch. They loved the white wines and stuff like that. So I never really got into the darks. And she's the one that in fact, the first wine that we ever had together on a date was Louis Jadot Pouilly-Fuissé. And it's just a fantastic wine. I think it's a white, but I can't remember. But then I started getting more into the Cabernets and the Merlots and stuff like that. And that's where I find my sweet spot in there, because they've already proven, they've said that wine is actually not bad for you. But, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw the headlines about European guidelines for alcohol intake. Haven't read any of the articles that come after, but it kind of implies that the recommendation is going to be 0 versus, like, it was pretty low already, like 3 servings a week or something like that, right?
But you look at some of these countries that when I use France as an example, these people are drinking wine from the time they're 3 or 4. They're having a little sip here and there, just but to me, there's nothing like cheese, wine, and meat together. There's just you can't beat it. You just can't.
Yeah, or a steak, a nice steak,
yes,
a red wine. Oh man,
yeah.
Yeah, we got to go out this weekend now. Now I want a steak.
Now, where do you guys go for your steaks? Ruth's Chris or?
I've never been there.
Oh, okay.
No, we've got a place called Alexander's that might be along those same lines. It's one of I hate those places like that where you buy the steak and then everything else you have to add on top of that.
Yeah, we have Sullivan. We have Sullivan's where you buy your. They've got a deal right now where it's a dinner for 2. It's $160, but you share a tomahawk, which is pretty good size steak.
One of those.
Well, they're just a big ribeye with a long bone on it, but then you have to, and that one though is included. You get one side, like asparagus or scalloped potatoes. But normally when you go in there, you're like, you could buy the steak, then you got to buy the potatoes, then you got to buy the bread, and by the time you're done, you've taken out a mortgage to have a steak. Where to me, I go up to the meat market, get a nice ribeye, or actually I get what they call a chuck eye, believe it or not. It's cut from the chuck side, but it's cut as a ribeye, and they're like $8 a pound as opposed to $14-15 a pound, and they're delicious.
So this is a good point, and maybe
processed food. Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I should go off on this tangent.
Sure, why not?
A little bit political, but not political sided. How that? So okay. I'm watching.
You got to be talking about Kennedy.
No, I found a YouTube video that is industry people from Napa that are doing a weekly show and talking. It's 2 restaurant owners, but they talk all about wine and all this stuff. And they brought up something, I guess, that I should have thought of long ago. Maybe this is a no-brainer, but it was like a aha moment that they were talking about minimum wage going up because they're talking about the challenges of restaurant industry.
Sure.
And I guess the average profit margin on restaurants across the country is 6%.
Oh, yeah.
That's the average. So there's got to be some less. Some people just trying to break even, all this stuff.
Sure.
And then they brought up the cost of labor is the biggest cost, of course. And they brought up the people wanting wages to go up so the people that work in restaurants can make a living and support themselves and all this stuff. And especially talking fast food, you can go in and out here and start at $19 an hour. It's crazy. But then they say from an owner's point of view, when our labor costs keep going up, we can't push all of that onto the customer. So we're looking at how do we reduce our labor? How do we hire fewer people?
Sure.
And I'm thinking, so all these people that fight for these laws and vote them in, are they thinking that, okay, the people working in the restaurants, their wage will go up, but there'll be fewer people working there, so there'll be less job opportunities in general? It's just kind of an interesting perspective.
My feeling on that whole thing is that I remember I was making $1.90 an hour, working in a fast food joint. I think where the difference is now is in some administration stuff, when they vote on this stuff, they're thinking that, these people that work at a fast food place or they work at a convenience level or stuff like that. When I was growing up, that wasn't a career. It was a job to have money in your pocket to spend as you were either going to school or working on going somewhere else. I think what's happened now is a lot of these people are saying, well, we have to pay these people this much money because this is how they make a living permanently.
True. Right.
And like, for instance, I don't know if you guys have QT in California, but it's called Quick Trip. And believe it or not, it's a convenience store, but they're not going after the convenience store market. They're going after the fast food market because they've got an in-store deli and stuff like that. But I mean, somebody just starting as a clerk there makes just under $40,000 a year. So they are making career level money. I don't know how they could survive it, especially with customer service in a convenience store level. But
yeah,
I think that's part of the problem. And then the other thing is you've got, let's say you own a steak place like Alexander's. Well, you've got one set of people from the older generations that will always go in and order a big ass ribeye, because meat is what they grew up on. But now you have a whole nother set of people that are saying, you got to limit all the red meat you eat. You got to limit that. Now, going into the political side, now you have that's been completely turned around again. And people are saying, no, you need to go ahead and have a certain amount of saturated fats. You need to have red meat. And I lean that way because that's the way we grew up, because there is nothing like, and like you said earlier, there's nothing like a good steak. Nothing like a good steak. So,
yeah. Well, what'll be interesting too is, especially with our minimum wage being so high at fast food restaurants, it's not unusual for people to comment, I can go to a sit-down restaurant and it costs me the same as running through McDonald's now for a family. And so again, at some point, I don't know if it's happening now or will happen in the future if the wages keep going up, but people will stop going there as often. Why go get a quarter pounder and some fries if you can go? And yes, there's the convenience that you can't beat at a sit-down restaurant. But if you can get a full meal for the same price, it's going to be.
Well, I mean, like, just for instance, I'm the first one to admit it. I am a Jack in the Box fanatic. I love Jack in the Box. And they have their munchie meal, which is a sandwich, a couple of tacos, fries, and stuff like that. It's $14. You used to be able to go to a restaurant and have a nice sit-down meal for $14. Not anymore, but you used to be able to.
Yeah, that's true. In and out will never go away, and people will always go there. But
right,
yeah, McDonald's, boy, I would go to McDonald's more than I do now if it wasn't as expensive as it is. I'll say
exactly.
That.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, PB's got a good point. Morton's I found has a great happy hour. Again, we're jumping all over topics, but they've got amazing French fries.
Yeah, we don't have a Morton's here. We have Ruth's Chris, not here in Tucson and Phoenix, because in Tucson the steakhouses are more of your cowboy steakhouses. The Silver Saddle Saloon, stuff like that. They've been around forever.
So they're not serving a 6 ounce.
No. I mean, when you go to, like, let's say you go to El Corral, and I'm talking, and they've got the best prime rib in town, but you've got the 24 ounce, the 18 ounce, and the petite is 14 ounces. When you go to these places, you're going to eat meat. But I don't think
I've ever had that much steak at once.
Yeah. As far as chains are concerned, the Keg is one that we have here. Other than that, everything's up in there. But the big thing that's happening now, at least in Tucson, is the Brazilian steakhouse method. But God, you can't eat that much food. I mean, granted, it's $40 or $45 per person, or maybe even $60 now, but you can't finish that food. I mean, these guys come around and they have a skewer of meat. How much would you like this time?
That's where I learned to love that chicken hearts are delicious. I never had one before then.
Well, the thing, there's a steak in Amarillo. I don't know if PB's talking about it, but they have one in Wisconsin too. But it's a 72 ounce ribeye. And if you eat the 72 ounce ribeye, the fries, the salad, the bread, you get it for free. If you don't, it's a huge amount of money.
Yeah. Well, here, we're rolling up. So let me pose this last question to you and the barflies. How can steak at one restaurant, especially the chain, so like he's saying, like Ruth Chris best filet, but Morton ribeye, how can they be so much better than another place? Because I can't believe that the cows that they're buying thousands of pounds of beef from are so much different than the cows that this other place is buying their beef from.
I think it has to do with the feed. What are they feeding? Because everything that they feed the beef or the cows is what you're tasting. So if you've got a lesser cut of meat because they're filling it with hormones and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's high-end places. So like his comment. So Ruth Chris and Morton's, both high-end steakhouses.
They're buying the best. They're buying the best meat that you can buy.
Right. So in theory, wouldn't you be getting pretty much the same meat wherever you go if you're going to a reputable high-end steakhouse?
You would think.
I'm just curious. I know, and I know some dry age or their sauces, all that is different. But when you're just talking the steak, it's just a muscle out of a cow.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's like the big. Remember a couple of years ago, and I'm sure it's still that big. Is the Wagyu?
Oh, yeah.
You've got to have it. Now, I've never had it. I hear that it's amazing, but is it worth that much extra money? I don't know.
Well, so that's where you get into all the other stuff we talked about, right? Like cigars, the wine, all that stuff. Like what we pay for a bottle of wine, 99% of the people in America would not pay that.
Right. Well, here's a good point. Ruth Chris uses prime USDA, but cooks it at 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. The keg, for instance, can't. That's fair. Because what they're doing is they're cooking it a different way. Obviously. And I've had Ruth Chris, but believe it or not, you can get a great steak at some of these small podunk places. There's a place in Prescott, Arizona, and it's called the Home Plate. And literally you have to walk down a back alley to get to it. You walk in and they cook all their steaks on a flat top. It's not even a charcoal grill. It's a flat top. And they have this, what they call a baseball cut. So it looks like a softball.
Mm-hmm.
Best steak you'll ever eat. And it's like $12.50, so you just don't know. I mean, so that lends to, what you're saying about the fact that if the restaurant wants to serve a prime USDA beef, they can. It's just what are their margins, and stuff like that.
And so Wagyu, my dad said he's not a fan. So I finally did try it once. We went to a Michelin-starred Japanese steakhouse in the city where they have, I guess there's grades of Wagyu, which I didn't know. So they educate you about Wagyu. And of course you're buying, because you got to pay by the ounce, right? So I'm not buying that much. It does melt in your mouth, but it also does. It's like beef flavored butter or fat. It does. But it's like, okay, this is delicious, but I'm not going to eat like 7 ounces of just fatty, buttery feeling. Like a taste is fine.
It's funny you mention that because like our favorites are T-bones, which is basically a ribeye that has an additional, because if you take the ribeye, that takes off I can't remember what the name of if you buy it for the whole thing, it's got the fillet, it's got something else and something else. I can't remember the name of it. But the T-bone is literally just a T-bone and it's cooked over mesquite. And those are our favorite, 1 to 1.5 inches max, reverse sear it and fantastic.
Yeah. All right. Well, we ended on food, which is appropriate. We got a few more barflies in here today.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody remember, it'll be a terrible episode in a week. We're going to have to taste beer.
It's going to be great. See, I'm a beer fan. I like beer, so I don't drink it that often, but hopefully
so we'll see. The challenge for me will be to see if I can give you tasting notes past the nasty hops flavor.
Well, I think most of the beers that we've chosen are Pilsner-esque. So they're not going to be real hoppy like a lot of the craft beers are. So I think it won't be bad. But
and see, you guys, I've never been a big steak guy. I like a fillet. I love a fillet, but I don't know this stuff, like where the beef is coming from on the cow and which ones are.
See, I would do the oyster challenge, but Dave can't.
You wouldn't do it the way he wants. He wants to send you oysters in the mail. I don't think you would do that.
No, that wouldn't happen. No, the only way we would do an oyster episode is if we were at the restaurant filming, because
and I still, yes, I can't have them
because
I never had one before I was allergic to shellfish, but I still don't understand them because you just swallow them down whole. But I don't get the point.
No, but you can chew them.
But you don't, even if you take a couple of chomps at it, you're not chewing it up like you would a piece of steak, right? You're not chewing it until it's gone. And
Major Rich brings up a good point. You can't have
I can't have Rocky Mountain oysters.
You can have Rocky Mountain oysters. You can have Rocky Mountain oysters.
I'm not opposed to, if we were ever somewhere that we could order those. I would.
Yeah. So your dad likes oysters.
Yeah.
I love them. I mean, and if you do it, there's a process. You take the oyster, it's on a bed of it. You take some Tabasco.
It looks very elegant. The way they display them, and
they're delicious. They're
my wife will eat them.
But you can't even get near them, though, can you?
Oh, I can't. I mean, I can't put them in my mouth. No.
Now, I wonder, you could have rattlesnake too, I think.
Sure.
Rattlesnake's good.
Is it?
Oh, it's delicious.
Doesn't taste like chicken?
Tastes like chicken. It does.
There's not an awful lot of meat on a rattlesnake.
Actually, you'd be surprised, because what you do is you take the spine out, and then you cut the fillet, and it's a thick. The whole thing's muscle. The whole snake is muscle. So you can have, you figure have a 6-foot snake. And you chop it up, and then you dredge it in flour, and then you deep fry it, and
it's not tough.
No, not at all.
So they serve that in restaurants there?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to hunt rattle? Like, is it like they're all over the place? You can go kill them if you want to?
Yeah, they're all over the place. They're everywhere.
Huh.
They're everywhere.
You know what else tastes like chicken, though, guys? Chicken.
You
can just go buy chicken.
But see, you're talking about oysters. Some people don't like to me, there's a restaurant real quick. I think I've talked about it before. It's called Lucky Wishbone. And Lucky Wishbone is it's a local family that's owned it since the 40s, but they have fried, and I'm surprised Tig Lily hasn't said something here, but they have a combo that you can get, and it's in a box like the old time. So you have garlic bread, fries, and livers and gizzards. Oh, so good. But Sharon doesn't like gizzards because she goes, why don't you just take the covering off of a golf ball and just chew on the rubber band?
Wait, isn't the gizzards just the insides?
Yeah. It's the area where the gizzards are what crunch up all the stuff that the thing
that little
eats.
thing that's supposed to have rocks in it.
Yeah.
That's a gizzard. That's the gizzard.
And then, but there is nothing like fried chicken livers. Oh, so good, so good.
All right.
And chicken is a dirty animal. Well, so is duck. In fact, I would argue that
once you rip the skin off, it's as clean as anything else on the inside.
Ducks are the most disgusting creature on the planet, but they taste so good.
Yeah, I've had sweetbreads. I think they were the same as what you're talking about. I think they were deep fried. So once you deep fry almost anything,
anything tastes good deep fried. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff. I mean, it's all the fun stuff that we like to eat. So next week, don't forget our beer tasting, and we'll try. We'll
call it the NASCAR show,
right?
Drinking beer,
and we got to wear ball caps. You got to wear ball
caps. Tank tops. I don't think I even own a tank top.
I don't even think I own it. Yeah, I don't own a tank top. Now we're waiting on our guest, which we'll keep secret for a little while. We're waiting on our guest to send us information. And if we get that information in time, we will put that up so you can go out to your local Total Wine or your favorite liquor establishment and pick up the beers if you'd like to taste with us.
Right. He wanted to provide fancy schmancy and microbrew and stuff, which I appreciate because I might like those more. But I said, no, we gotta both days need to be able to acquire this stuff, and we wanted it to be something that most people could go pick up. So
right. And what's funny is if you noticed on the Cadre today, he asked, "What time is Drinks and Dave's if somebody wants to watch?"
He's supposed to be on it next week,
and I don't see him anywhere today.
Yeah.
Yes, we booked Foster Brooks. Yes, from the grave.
Is that from Foster's Ale?
No, you don't remember Foster Brooks?
Are
you too young to remember? Foster Brooks was the guy that always acted drunk. on like the well, you probably don't remember the Dean Martin roasts, do you?
No.
God.
Sorry.
You youngin'. Well, go look up on YouTube, go look up the Dean Martin roasts. And at the end of it, you're going to say, how did they get away with that? Because there was no political correctness at all. Don Rickles went crazy. Yes, PB, you and I are old. And well, don't forget, Rich is in there with us. So, well, everybody, thanks for joining us. And we're looking forward to the 2026 season. We've got all kinds of stuff planned. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge I want to sell you.
We have exactly one show planned.
Exactly. So join us next week at 5 p.m. Pacific for the beer tasting. And if you have any ideas, and I know we say this each and every time, email us ideas for show ideas. And it can be food. It seems like our food tasting shows happen to be among the most popular.
Yeah.
But, and please, if you like what you see, don't forget, like, subscribe, share, comment, and we will try to get back to you as soon as we can. I think that's about it, Dave, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Say goodnight, Dave.
Night, Dave.
Guys, have a good day. Bye-bye.